you sure you want to fly that here? I'll be fine. I've done it before. Yeah, but what if it lands in the pond? It's fun to fly over water. Alright, good money. Check this out. Ow! That's $50 in the water. There you go.
Hello YouTube, you're watching Drone Dude, and today I'm bringing you a review of the H2O Aviax, and it is from allbuy.com. So you probably saw my first little skit for this model, and you probably noticed immediately that this model is in fact waterproof. Now this is a $44 drone off of allbuy.com, and it is waterproof, and it's a great trainer, and we're going to get into more depth about how it flies, every single thing about the quadcopter and what you need to know, setup, and everything. But with regards to the first skit, I'm going to be honest, the Aviax did actually crash into the water, and I was not able to get it to take off again. Reason being is that I actually had let it sit in the water a little too long, and water had gotten into it, and it was just too heavy. However, I did have the ability to bring it back to me using the propellers, which was kind of cool. It was kind of like it was swimming. But just a fair warning, if you do get this in the water, pull it out, dry it out for a couple hours, and it'll be flying like new again. But anyway guys, let's go ahead and get started with the review. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out with the basically unboxing, or what is included with this quadcopter. Well, this is the box it comes in. It's a fairly nice, simple, small box. And mine did ship DHL. There might be other shipping options. But anyway, the box was a little beat up when I first got it, but the quadcopter was in perfect condition and still is. Go ahead and open this up, and you'll get 4 prop guards included in the box, as well as the instruction manual. You also get some accessories. You will receive 4 extra props, which is really nice. Most companies don't include 4 extra props. Usually with these smaller quadcopters there's 2, and if you break them then you're out of luck. And then you also get a screwdriver and a couple small screws. So also included are 2 650 milliamp batteries. These are very small, but they include 2 of them, and that's kind of awesome because you can have more flight time, and they don't take long to charge. It takes about an hour to charge one of these. Off of the included USB stick charger. This can plug into your computer or a USB outlet. And the way it works is there's a little red light inside of the USB. When the USB is plugged in without the battery being plugged in, you'll plug the battery into the small adapter end there on the other side. The red light will go off while the battery is charging, and then when the battery is done charging, it'll be solid red light on the USB charger again. So, very simple and very easy and very quick. Prop guards. Prop guards are very important for anyone learning to fly a quadcopter, and as this is a great trainer model, it would only make sense for them to include many prop guards. There are 4 prop guards for obviously each of the 4 propellers, and they work fairly well. Good for indoor flight. They're not going to help you if you do crash into a tree at high speed, but there are several different modes for control authority on this model, so if you are flying indoors, I would recommend having these on. Another quick word about the prop guards. They are very easy to install. There are 2 prongs that actually fit right into the top of the motor there, and then those actually push in really well. They're friction fit, but just to be sure it doesn't come off, there's a little screw, and you can use the included screwdriver included in the little accessories bag here, and you can use that to screw the prop guards in. So obviously you didn't just buy this for accessories, so obviously the main quadcopter comes in the box. Now the only thing that I've added to this are included gear that are included in the box, and these things are actually just friction fit, and they fit on nicely. They'll kind of protect the bottom of your motors. You can land this thing without the extra gear on the bottom, but you don't have to. These gear also have nice little pads on them, and they're very easy to install. And then we also have, of course, the battery hatch right here and the main body of the quadcopter, which we'll get into in just a second. And then we have the remote controller. The remote controller is a little bit cheaper feeling, but yet again, you paid $44 for this model. And it does its purposes very well. It has several buttons on it that do many things. And we'll get into that in the flying portion of this as well. But just a quick overview, the stick feeling is actually very nice on this controller. If you've ever had experience with some of the cheaper quadcopters, they're often hard to control because the sticks are really loose. This is actually well spring-loaded and so on. So now that we've looked at everything that's included and we've got our batteries charged, let's go ahead and look at different setups for this model. So one thing that I noticed was the main shafts don't come with the props on them. You have to install the propellers yourself. One thing that is interesting about this model is it comes with clips similar to what you might see on an RC car to hold a battery hatch or something like that. And they are actually pre-installed on the motor shaft, which is right here, and I can actually pull it right out of the quadcopter. This is nice for repair. If you strip gears, I'm sure that is a part that is easily replaceable. But we can also just slip this back in and slip that right there. Actually, the instruction manual says that you should, or it appears to say that you should screw the propellers in. And I actually tried for a long time with the included screwdriver to screw the props in on this model. And I could not do it, no matter how hard I tried. So what I did is take the pins, and I was like, I guess I might as well just use the pins that were already in the motors. And the pins are actually great because they keep the props on, never had an issue with one coming off. And then if you do happen to have to replace a prop, very easy, just pull the pin out and put a new one on. So now we want to go ahead and turn on the quadcopter. This is also a very simple process. There is one thing that I don't quite like about this, and this is only my opinion really. But with most RC aircraft, you want to turn the remote controller on first and then the quadcopter to prevent any weird signals telling the motors to spin up and hurt your hand or whatever. This, however, will beep if you turn the controller on before you start the quadcopter. And so that's just kind of annoying, and turning on the quadcopter first is not an issue, but it is advised that you do turn the quadcopter on first beforehand to prevent that beeping. Not a big deal. Once you plug in the quadcopter, if you do have the remote on first, all it will do is stop beeping and say you're connected. But I'm going to go ahead and take a battery, and it's very simple. You take the battery, you slip it into the slot on the quadcopter. You're going to go ahead and connect the connector port there, and we're going to just go ahead and close up the hatch, and you are ready to go and go flying. And you'll notice all of the lights are blinking, and we can go ahead and turn on our transmitter, and that means we are connected, and all of the lights are a steady color now. You'll also notice the little antenna also has an LED in it that is lighting up. So this flies like any typical quadcopter does. It's got forwards, backwards, left, and right. Now that's obviously controlled by the right stick on the remote controller. And then the left stick is your throttle and your rudder, so that is what rotates the quadcopter. All of these controls are actually very nice, and I actually like flying this because you can adjust the rate at which or how much the quadcopter pitches, so how fast the quadcopter moves. And this can be adjusted with the click of the top right button on the controller. And then you will actually notice on the LCD screen at the bottom, that the percentage will change when you click this button, and you'll hear a number of beeps. One beep is 40%, or actually that's 2 beeps, so that's 40% rates. 3 beeps is 60% rate, so you're going to be moving a little bit faster, and then 4 beeps is 100%, so you're going to be able to tilt the quadcopter pretty far over. It's still going to limit you, however this thing has also plenty of power, so it's still tons of fun. And then obviously 1 beep will be the slowest rate, and that's ideal for indoor flying, nothing extreme. Other options you have on this remote controller are trim tabs. A lot of cheaper controllers don't come with trim tabs, and what trim tabs do is allow you to prevent the quadcopter from drifting. When you do start this quadcopter, before you take off, you're going to want to set it down on a level surface. And once you take off, if the quadcopter does kind of tend to drift one way or the other, you can adjust the trims on the remote controller, and that will adjust how the quadcopter stays in one position when you push the throttle. So obviously when I'm flying this quadcopter, I prefer to fly it in 100%. So what 100% is the rate switch, and so it's going to tilt quite a bit, and it's very fast and agile. And that's what makes it a great learner, is you can up the percentage, up the feedback that you get from the remote, and continue flying. And then also we have several other features on this remote controller. Now these sticks don't push in like some of the other cheaper sticks, because you have buttons for all of the functions. So over here on this side, on the left side of the controller, we have a blue button, just like on the right side, except for this is the flip button. And so what you're going to do to activate the flip is you're going to click the button, and the remote controller will beep repeatedly, and then you're just simply going to push the aileron or tilt stick over, and the quadcopter will automatically do a flip. And so that is a cool feature if you want to show off to your friends. It's a neat thing. So getting on to the other buttons on this remote controller, we have 2 buttons by the LCD screen on the right side and on the left side. The top button on the LCD screen is the lighting, so you can actually take the quad, see here, and you can click that button and turn the LEDs off on the bottom of the quadcopter, and as well as the antenna. And then we also have, right below that on the right side, is the picture/video mode button, and this is only included with the, or not only included, but this model does have a camera option that you can include, and so that will allow you to switch the modes. And then we have on the left side, we have 2 interesting features. The bottom left button is a headless mode, is what they call it, or if you're used to DJI products, it's intelligent orientation control. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep the quadcopter facing away from you when you take off and start it up. And what it's going to do is, no matter which way the quadcopter is facing, the left stick, or right stick, I'm sorry, will make the quadcopter go right. Even if the quadcopter is not facing forward or backward, you will still have orientation with the quadcopter. Another great learning technique. So we have one more switch on the remote controller, and that is on the top left of the LCD screen. And what that does is, it's called cruise control. Now, according to the manual, of which I'll read to you, Aviax is programmed to save its previous flight and capable of repeating the same route and motion for 40 seconds, then returning to its starting location. So I've tried this, and I've been kind of confused on how to use it, but supposedly it does what it says. It's supposed to mimic your flight and then return back. So we will have to test that in the future, but as for now, I haven't played with that too much. So speaking of the manual, this is the manual right here. It's short and simple, but it actually is very comprehensive. It has tons of visual diagrams in the manual, and then also the wording is very easy to read, and the text is very big. So everything is really well labeled, and it also gives you the parts list, which is handy. So I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about the waterproofing on this model. So the best thing to do if you do want to get this thing wet a little bit is not go full on and let it sink in the water. It won't sink, it actually does float, which is good, but you can flood it a bit. and obviously this is not a problem because it is waterproofed. But if you want to have fun without having to dry it out, you can just splash up and down the water. So do a quick touch and go, and that will work just fine. One thing I did notice is the battery, when I did flood it with water, did seem to die pretty quickly. But obviously I've charged it and I've flown it since then. I literally set it out for like 2 hours and charged the battery up, and it flew like new. So you don't really have to worry about that if you do live by the water somewhere. This thing will also swim, which is kind of nice. So if you do get it in the water and you can't get to it, let's say it's farther out, maybe not in the ocean, but if you're in a pond or a lake, you can actually give it throttle and push it forward if it is weighed down with water, and it will still drive where you tell it to. So you're not totally lost. You don't have to go get a big pole and try to fish it out. So that is also an advantage. One thing I'm also going to say about this quadcopter is I usually talk about faults with quadcopters that I review, and I can't really think of one that is a predominant issue with this. The remote controller, it's cheap, but it does and serves its purpose, and the quadcopter is durable and hasn't given me really any stress at all, other than trying to screw the props in. But after I figured out that I can just use the clips that they include, that's no problem at all. So that is a really interesting thing that about this quadcopter. So guys, to sum up this quadcopter, I've actually been really impressed. And the reason is not necessarily the quality or the design, but it's $44, and you get a working quadcopter that is waterproof, and it's a great trainer. It's also very durable. I've crashed it a couple times, and it still looks like new. So you can actually, I will have a link in the description for this model if you are interested, and you can actually type in the word EVAN to get a discount on this model, 10% discount. So if you are looking to buy that, this would be a good way to do it. But anyway, guys, one thing I'm also going to mention is they didn't take the liberty of making it look too far from the DJI Phantom, as it has these same lines across the top and the same, I guess, orientation stickers there. These are actually painted on, and they're also in the back, so they're not the front, but that's no big deal. So everybody, I would like to thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video.